Aling bumibay aling bumibay aling bumibay aling bumibay aling bumibay walang makakatigil. Round round bumibay, alamin ang iyong ugat. They got nothing on us, nothing on us, nothing on us.
Let's all breathe together. Type a 143 in the chat room if you can hear me. I want to make sure my audio is okay before I start. That was also my way of getting all the love and the energy from all of you. So thank you. I'm a little bit nervous. As you guys know, I'm not a public speaker. Gina asked me to share my story. So I'm here to share my journey right before the amazing Gina Rosero. So no pressure, right? Fuck. Well, I'm going to start today by asking a question that I was asked when I was 18 years old by my guidance counselor. See, I was 18 years old. I was a freshman in college at UCI studying political science, but I hated it. I couldn't get myself to go to class. I wasn't doing really well. I was like fading in and out. And I went to go talk to a guidance counselor, and she asked me questions that I wasn't prepared for. She asked me, what would you be doing right now if you weren't worried about what your parents thought, what your families thought, if money wasn't the driving force to your choice in career, which was to be a lawyer at the time? What would make you excited to wake you up every morning? Getting to do what you loved with your own time. That's where you'll find your passion and purpose. Like, wow, that's a lot for an 18-year-old. Nobody ever asks you that when you're 18. They ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? Are you going to follow in your parents' footsteps? But they don't ask you what you really love, that you want to do. So after that, it was the first time I really thought about it, and I decided that I wanted to change my career path and focus on music, which I really loved. So I went to talk to my mom, and you guys know you've probably had this conversation with your Filipino mom as well about changing majors at a UC from political science to radio television to launch an underground hip hop radio show. She was so disappointed, but she gave me the chance. She said, "Bahala na, it is your life, but you got to pay for it. I'm not going to pay for it." So what I did was I enrolled in a JC in my hometown of Walnut, California, a great one called Mount Sac, because I found out they had a radio station where I could start my underground hip hop radio show. I went back to my first job that I had in high school, and it was selling shoes at the Athlete's Foot in the West Covina Mall for $5.45 an hour, which I think was the fair price at that time. You can see how far dated that was. So I worked so many hours to pay for school. I enrolled in classes that were radio broadcasting. I hosted the radio show late at night, and I was exhausted. But I would interview my favorite artists at the time on my Third Floor Radio hip hop show, which was The Far Side, A Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, and the Black Eyed Peas. I was exhausted. I was working nonstop. I was taking classes, but it didn't feel like college. It didn't feel like work, and I loved what I did, and I was excited to wake up every morning. So fast forward to later in life, after spending a decade of helping launch, market, and sell MySpace.com, I took the leap and co-launched a video resume company with a few partners, and after a few years, we wound up selling it for $7.4 million. But I couldn't enjoy it. I was exhausted. We were working nonstop. I didn't love what I was doing. I missed music and had lost my passion and was wondering, what was I gonna do with my time? But I remembered again the question that I was asked when I was 18, and I didn't know how to answer it at that time. She said, what would you be doing right now if you weren't worried about what people thought? If you had the financial freedom of time, what would you be doing? That's where your passion and your purpose is. Find that. So that exact time, the world manifested the law of attraction, Apple the app of the Black Eyed Peas, to ask a group of us to go to the Philippines with the Philippines Tourism Board. So myself and 15 other people like Joe Coy, Cassie, Leanne V, and executives from YouTube, Netflix, and Google went to the Philippines. At 36 years old, this was the first time I had ever been to the Philippines, shamefully. I could never afford it. I was always nervous of the long flight. And of course, my aunts always said that I would get kidnapped. But as soon as we landed, I told myself I wouldn't cry. But as soon as we landed, I found myself. I found out what it meant to be Filipino. And not just a Pinay, but a proud Pinay. Apple Diap, he showed us the schools he built in his hometown of Pampanga. He took us to the beautiful islands of Boracay, Cebu, Bohol, and we walked through the streets of Manila, not only to see the beautiful people in the Philippines, but we also walked through extreme areas of poverty. I wasn't ready for that. To see my people living in such poverty. But the energy was still amazing, right? They were still so happy. When Apple walked down the street, people would sing his songs to him. They would sing the Apple song. They would sing Bebot, Bebot, Bebot. And he would stop to take pictures with everybody. Lolas, 95 years old, kids that were five years old, singing the Apple song, a music video that we produced together. And finally, after that trip, I decided what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. It's something that gave me purpose and feel alive again. Waking up every day, something that I love that was meaningful. So I dedicated myself to help bring Filipino talent, culture, content, and events to the world stage. I thought about my 20 career in the mainstream music industry, producing events and concerts and programs with Drake, Justin Bieber, Justin Timberlake, etc. But I could only name 3 people, 3 Filipinos that I had interviewed: Apple Diap, Bruno Mars, and Jo Koy. I wanted to help increase our representation in music, film, and TV, to see our own stories from people that look like us, not only to inspire us here in the United States, but the 120 million Filipinos in the world, especially those in the Philippines. I'm tired. I work now more than ever. Our company's 24/7. We operate in LA and Manila at the exact same time, but you know what? It's the best feeling that I've ever had, and I love it. It has its own unique challenges. And I'm not sure who this message was for. If you're listening to this and it struck a chord, then this is for you. There's 2 things. Number 1, you're never too old. I'm 4 years old. You're never too young to start living in your purpose and start investing into what you love and what you're passionate about. You might still have other things to pay for. You might have to work another job, but don't feel embarrassed of having a side hustle. Be proud of being a hustler, to be able to do it all. Who can do it all? Pinayistas. That's the definition of a Pinayista. We get shit done. This morning, you got up on a Sunday. You're here at Pinayista, whether you followed both Ginas and were a huge fan like I am, whether you're here to support your Pinayista's friend's company, or your best friend forced you to come because she didn't want to come alone. Whatever the reason was, you're here for a reason. And you're going to find out by the end of today if you haven't figured that out. Whew. So like Reese said, stop waiting for the right time. Right now is the right time, especially in quarantine, to focus and invest in your time into what you love. Write that book, start that podcast, join that nursing program, launch that company, learn to DJ, volunteer for that nonprofit, and look around. If you don't have the support you need at home from your parents, from your family, or your friends, take a look around in this chat room because you have all the support that you need. Not just the hundreds of beautiful Pinays here today, but the millions of people of your community that are cheering you on to succeed. So thank you, Gina Marico and the Pinayista team. It's an honor to be here with all of you sisters in the hustle. In my lifetime, I never thought there would be a group called Pinayista or an event like this, but I'm so glad that there is. Remember, it's our time. It's our time to be unapologetic and uniquely Filipino. As the Queen Rubia Barr said, Island women rise. Walang makakatigil. Don't make fun of my Tagalog accent. But thank you guys. Please watch Yellow Rose, not just because our company ABS-CBN funded it, but because it's the first time that a movie was funded by Sony Pictures in 900 theaters nationwide. The more we support each other and support these films and these shows, the more that the mainstream will support us and continue to uplift and share our stories. And I can't wait to hear all of your stories as well. Please DM me. And sisters, mahal kita.